I'm Valerie McDonald Roberts, and I proudly celebrate Women's History Month in the city of Pittsburgh.
We're celebrating Women's History Month today with Valerie McDonald Roberts, Chief Urban Affairs Officer for the City of Pittsburgh. Valerie, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Could you tell us a little bit about your job and what exactly the Chief Urban Affairs Officer does for the city?
Basically coordinate a number of staff members that have titles of deputy chief and managers. We'll have associates. We've had interns from the summer through college. We've had AmeriCorps Vista associates. So there's a number of people that are coordinated. However, I do have to give credit. Many of in fact, all of them are so high caliber and so competent. It's basically me just navigating and being kind of like the operator. But they do the yeoman's job of work in terms of the addressing immigrant and non-U.S. citizen issues through Welcoming Pittsburgh, health issues through Healthy Together, Live Well Pittsburgh, education, workforce development, affordable housing, equal opportunity in terms of contracting through the EORC Review Commission. We have small business development, neighborhood redevelopment. So the Bureau of Neighborhood Empowerment, we basically handle a myriad of issues that impact the everyday resident in the city of Pittsburgh. And we interact with whomever we need to interact with, not only internally in the city, but our external partners. We have many, many external partners in terms of the nonprofit community and for-profit partnering, the foundation community, the faith-based community. So again, it stretches pretty wide. The net is quite wide with what we do. And again, I'm just one piece of the puzzle as far as managing as chief, but again, I have to give credit. This bureau would not operate had it not been for the high caliber, high competency, and just very talented staff that are within this bureau.
Well, it sounds like you keep very busy with all of those initiatives in the community, but it sounds like you're doing a lot of great things for the citizens. So what was it exactly that got you interested in a government career? Well,
as far as a question of, why government? Did you seek government? No, government sought me. I had no intention on being in government. I was in private industry. I was in the STEM field as industrial hygiene chemist. I was medical technologist. I even taught chemistry at CCAC for a couple of semesters, as well as math. So that was what I did, as well as being a mom and a wife, a business owner with my former husband. So I had no intention on getting in government. I certainly didn't take courses to aspire to that in school. But government found me because of problems, and it happens to many women who end up in government or end up in elected position or any type of leadership position as such. It oftentimes is a problem that falls in your lap, and the way to solve it is to dive in to government. And that's exactly what happened in a couple of situations. And I found myself running for school board to solve a problem that I could not solve that as a regular citizen, as a regular parent. I said, I guess I need to be on the inside. And once I was elected and got on the inside, then I realized how important it is for women to be at the table.
Well, related to that, many women have faced obstacles and experienced inequality in the workplace throughout history. What does it mean to you to be a leader in the city of Pittsburgh?
It's a burden, but it is an honored burden. It's something. I'm a very spiritual person, and I believe that God doesn't put you anywhere where you're not supposed to be. It's basically do well where He places you. And that is my motto from day to day. I don't really look too far into the future. I just basically want to do good work where I'm at as a public servant. So as far as moving forward, where am I going to go, and this place in government and a role model? Well, it's because that's what the dear Lord wants me to do. And that is, I call myself God's schlepper, okay? I'm a schlepper. And it's basically, I'm a tool, I'm an instrument to help others. It's to do what is best for his people, for people here within your community, in your household, on your street. And right now, I was in a county, and now it's within the city of Pittsburgh. But again, it's making a difference to many, many people. And sometimes it can seem quite overwhelming. Oftentimes I text people, I'm like, sorry, I'm underwater, so I'm not drowning, I'm just underwater temporarily, because I do know that I'll be blessed enough to get some air, but to dive in again and again and again, however many times I need to dive in. And I've been blessed very much so I pay it forward. And that's the goal in life.
Well, you're an excellent role model. And speaking of role models, did you have anybody that mentored you or helped you along your way?
You know what, as a young woman in high school, no. That was back in the 70s, late 60s, 70s, and trust me, they did not actually push women in fields that were outside of what they would call the prototype female type of careers. It was a disappointment. I wish I had people to mentor me when I was 15, 16 to 18 years old, but I didn't. But I ended up going into school, into a career that allowed me to be flexible enough as a parent, to be a housewife, to be a mom, to be this and that, and yet at this, not housewife, but at the same time to be a part-time career person. So if I had to look back, I wish someone would have mentored me and said, no, you go for the gusto, period, and let things fall where they may. If you're smart enough and you're talented enough to do absolutely more, then that is exactly what you do. So now I do that for others. In fact, I'm doing it for my own children, my grown children, is you go for the gusto until you can't run anymore. Never soft pedal. You go for the gusto. And as far as people along the way, I've had many supporters, particularly in my political career. I tell you, one of the people that I have to thank is a guy named Jack, who was my boss when I worked for Gulf Research. And he was like the Alan Alda for progression as far as promoting women. He was known for that in the plant. And he was an engineer by trade, and he pushed women, and he did help me and gave me opportunities. So I have to thank Jack for that. But it was men, very few women, because the fields that I've been in, there weren't a lot of women. Not in the fields I was in, sales engineering and petroleum products, not a lot of women in that. So you look for whoever role model you can, and that means if it's a man who wants to help and believes in equity, diversity, he has that optics like, this doesn't look right, there needs to be a little more diversity, then that's who you look for. But women along the way, I do admire Cecile Springer. She's a dear friend of mine. She was in the corporate arena at Westinghouse. We are both chemists, and we have very similar tracks. She's very involved in government and politics, so am I. But Cecile's always been a support, a mentor, and someone that I can go to with the exact issues that are on my plate. But I would say, as far as personally, it's my grandmother and my mom. I mean, my father, his picture's up there, and he's helped me along the way with political advice. But my mom and my grandmother as women, for their strength, their perseverance, fiercely independent. My grandmother was the only one that stood up to my father, who could be very, domineering and very ominous to some people. Not to my grandmother. She went toe to toe with him, face to face. And I always watched that and I said, this is great. She's only 5'5". She's standing up, go grandma, But it was them. And my grandmother has since gone, but my mom is still around and working with her. But as we go in the grocery store and she insists on carrying that cart, and I want to buy my own TV, and that fierce independence is admirable. And I just hope that I continue to be strong and independent, and yet compassionate, with humor. It's okay to laugh. It's okay to laugh at yourself. I wish I could be able to do that to her age.
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds like you're already on the right track. So what advice would you give to women seeking careers in government or other leadership roles?
Okay, for women, and I often talk to women, I think the biggest thing is communication. You better check your communication skills. Particularly for the young women that are coming up, please quit finishing your sentences as a question. You're not asking questions, you're making statements. That's a sign of confidence. It's a sign of power, to look people in the eye, to sit up straight, to make a statement like, not saying, I'm making a statement. No, you're not asking for permission to make a statement. Make the statement and end on the downside as finality, as definity. So that's all part of that communication package. And I would say for a lot of women, how you're perceived, your persona, is probably 90% of getting in that door, as well as men. Same thing. That's passed down to them. But for women, that strength, that confidence, that aura of feeling like you know what you're doing, that's not passed down to women oftentimes. But it can be learned. And it's basic, and it may be a conscientious effort to do that. But I find that particularly in the political field, in governmental field, you have to sound authoritative, you have to sound confident, but yet at the same time, you cannot sound like you're domineering. As a woman, it's a double standard. So you have to be graceful, you have to be compassionate, but you better be strong and you better be firm. Yes, you can do the whole package. It's not either or. You have to do both. So the communication department, I would say that's number one for women, is to make sure that they come off as how they want to be perceived, or how they want to be, how they truly are, but maybe in the communication part, it's not working for them that way. To be able to get knocked down, to be able to fail. Women have a heck of a time with failure because we like to do things right. Okay, we're very goal, task-oriented. We're the worker bees. We're the worker bees, and we want to get it right. Well, sometimes you may not get it right, and sometimes it may be not as tight and accurate as you want. Okay, get it done, though. Get it done, and it's okay. It's okay. Failure is okay. Being told no. Please don't get your feelings hurt with that. That is part of what's going to happen. Just gear up for it. No one, including myself, no one likes to be told no. But you have to just, and here's another thing, with women in particular, I find this, hey, men are from Mars and women are from Venus. I'm sorry. I'm old enough to be able to say that after all these years. However, understand that, embrace that, but understand what you have to do to get closer to that Mars planet. And that may mean that you may pull back, like, I really don't want to ask for that permission. I don't want to ask that question because it may be no. Okay, it may be no. It probably will be no. Ask it anyway, because it could be yes. So never be afraid of rejection, because you won't get anywhere if you don't get if you don't ask. You don't get if you don't ask, so ask it. And also be ready to roll with some heavy duty stuff. Your time is going to be sacrificed. You're going to have to manage that. I've done it all my life, but it is difficult. And if you are with someone and you're in a leadership role or a government role, a public service role, it's going to really suck up all of your time, then you need to have either your family, your children, your spouse, your boyfriend, whoever, your significant other, your partner, you need to have them on board. They have to understand that this is what you want and that there's going to be sacrifices, and it's a group effort. So make sure everyone's on the same page. If they're not, it won't work. And lastly, for women, if you do, and I say just to a lot of women, if you do make it and you aspire to a higher level, make sure you look back at your fellow sisters there and pull them along. There's nothing worse than being the first. You know, I've done a lot of firsts, but thank God it's not the last. It's okay to be the first, but it's not okay if you don't do anything to make sure that you don't remain only the first and that there's never a last. Make sure that there is someone else that's going to come along that trail that you supposedly blazed. Well, make sure, what good is a trail if no one's walking on it? You're the only one that walked on it. Well, what kind of trail is that? You know what's going to happen to that trail? It's going to be overgrown with weed. It's going to get funky. Make sure that other people are walking along that trail. So it's your responsibility to pay it forward and to pull back and grab somebody else. So yes, you are your sister's keeper. Just like you're your brother's keeper, you are your sister's keeper. That's the role model. That's the burden that you have when you do get into a position. That is your job.
Well, that was a lot of very inspiring and wise advice. Thank you so much for being here, Valerie. It's been great talking with you.
Thank you for having me.